Welcome to Practice Today, presented by SiriusXM. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen, here in the BetMGM studio. We'll hear from Olivia Landis and Brian Baldinger later in the show. The Jets are coming off a gut-wrenching loss on Monday Night Football to the New England Patriots. And after two good halves of football in back-to-back weeks leading up to Monday's game, the Jets finally took another step in the right direction.
Greens, we'd be remiss not to mention it is Veterans Day, so we remember and honor all those who have served for this country. With that being said, yes, the Jets are on their bye week. And against the New England Patriots Monday night, it was close, but they didn't get the job done. Were not there in the fourth quarter. They had a 10-point lead, 27-17, and you have to nail it down. And right now, this team has struggled to finish so far this season, of course. 0-9 for the first time in franchise history. The only winless team in the National Football League. But yes, especially on the offensive side of the ball, the Jets took strides with Joe Flacco playing quarterback, and we saw those three receivers, Denzel Mims, Rashad Perryman, and Jamison Crowder, playing together for the first time, and we saw a downfield vertical passing attack. But for the green and white, no moral victories in the National Football League. Pro football, you got to win, and let's see if they can do that after they come back from self-scout.
That leads us to today's headline, which is that the Jets are hitting the reset button, entering the bye week, and then that now they have a good opportunity to get healthy on both sides of the ball and regroup for the stretch run of the season.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the Jets specifically, you think about a couple of the big players on the offensive side of the ball. That's Mekhi Becton, the number 11 overall selection, who only played a few snaps against the Patriots before going out with a chest injury, and you're hoping that he is able to come back in the lineup. So far this year, Becton has played in less than 55% of the offensive snaps overall, and then at the quarterback position, you're still monitoring the status of Sam Darnold and that sore right shoulder. That is the guy specifically who needs more time, and we'll have to see if he's ready once we get back in here in the BetMGM studios next week and if he's on the practice field.
And we'll have a full injury report later on, Practice Today, presented by SiriusXM. But this is an odd bye week because typically players would travel elsewhere, try to get your mind away from football. But with the COVID protocols, you got to get tested every day. So the players will still be around at least just to get tested.
Yeah, you're right about that. In past years, guys would get away. If you had a second home, maybe this is the time you go down to Florida and you're able to just get away from the facility for a little bit. But as we continue to deal with COVID-19, the players and coaches alike will be here at One Jets Drive every day because they have to test every day. So bye week, week 10, if I'm a Jet here this weekend, I get away from football a little bit. I do a little bit of a self-scout, and then on Sunday afternoon, I get on NFL Direct Ticket and I watch the Chargers and the Miami Dolphins because those are the Jets' next two opponents.
And that matchup in particular features the number 5 and number 6 overall picks from 2020, the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, and the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. So just because it's the bye week doesn't mean that we're not bringing the juice. We're bringing Brian Baldinger on the show right now. Typically, we have a Baldy's breakdown. Now we got Baldy in the flesh. Brian, thanks for joining us. And EA mentioned this earlier, a couple minutes ago. Monday night was the first time this season the Jets have had Rashad Perryman, Denzel Mims, and Jamison Crowder on the field this season. What kind of difference did you see in this Jets offense with those three guys on the field?
Well, we saw a real passing game, and not just a real passing game, with the 3 touchdown passes, but passing game that requires precision and execution. And we saw that on a number of throws from Joe to Denzel Mims, and the touchdown throw to Jamison Crowder was just a flat out dime. It was the right throw. It was a great catch. Jamison just continues to impress. But not only that, you imagine, I've been out there not as much as you guys, but they have a practice together. Practice is important. Yeah. And you just don't show up in a game and, okay, we're healthy, let's go. They haven't practiced since training camp together. And so it was good to see, as little time as they have had, what can happen against a quality secondary. Many of those guys have started in Super Bowl games, the McCourty brothers, J.C. Jackson, etc. None of those guys have started in Super Bowl games and a lot of playoff games over the years. They saw Tom Brady every day in practice. And to see them really play well and to see how well Joe threw it for, the better part of 3 full quarters, that was encouraging.
So a vertical passing attack for the Jets, if they're able to get that going here after the bye, how will defenses play them a little bit differently? I know they have to. This is just a small sample size against the Patriots, and they're going to have to continue to do that. But if they're able to hit on some of these explosion plays in the pass game of 20-plus yards, then what will happen from a defensive perspective? How will they change up the way they've been attacking this team?
Well, you mentioned, upcoming opponents. The Miami Dolphins, when they see them the second time, they didn't score a point against them in Week 6 down in Miami, but they're a man-to-man defense, and they expect that Xavier Howard and Byron Jones are going to man up against Denzel Mims and Rashad Perriman, and they try to take some deep shots in that game. Joe did, and they didn't connect early in the game, but I imagine that they're going to see their best, and Jets will have their best out there with a couple weeks and to kind of prepare, and I think it will be a different result this time. I think they'll have some success, but teams will play them differently because a team like, I'm just using Miami as an example, they've got corners that are expected to go up against your best receivers, and they like to man you up and then zone the middle of the field and come after you with a variety of blitzes. And so I think the Jets will be more equipped to be able to handle that right now.
Baldy, the Jets are still monitoring the shoulder injury to Sam Darnold. They're hoping that he'll be able to play in the team's next game against the Los Angeles Chargers following the bye week. But what have you made of Sam's season so far? I know it's hard to judge because of the injury. And then moving forward, the final 7 games with the guys that we're talking about, like Perriman, Mims, and Crowder all on the field for the first time Monday and hopefully the rest of the season, what will that do for Sam?
Well, I feel like to this point, honestly, Ethan, it's just been a big incomplete. I mean, you saw it in training camp. I mean, Denzel Mims wasn't out there. Rashard Perriman missed most of it. He's got a new offensive line, all that stuff. And, and then he gets hurt, and then he's been in and out of the lineup. And so, practice is important. Training camp, the offseason is important. He hasn't had any of that with the new receiving core. So I feel like it's on-the-job training. He's missed all this practice time. Now you're trying to get healthy. I hope that Sam can get out there for the final, 6 or 7 games here and show what he can do, because I think he can play really well. I'd love to see him with Mekhi Becton healthy at left tackle and the starting offensive line play the last 6 weeks together or 7 weeks together and make some kind of an evaluation here, from Thanksgiving or whatever, going forward. I'd like to see what could happen because we don't know yet. That's why I just give it an incomplete at this point. None of us really know. And anybody that just wants to write Sam off, that's not fair to him. And it's not fair to anybody that wants to evaluate Sam.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And Joe Flacco, it's good having that veteran presence behind Darnold because he was able to step up and play his best football in more than probably a calendar year, Baldy, against the New England Patriots. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned Becton. We know you love him. We follow you on social media. You've been talking about him throughout this entire year. He's dealt with a shoulder injury himself. Now the Jets are hopeful he'll be back in the lineup after suffering a chest issue against the Patriots. Where would you rank Becton amongst the rookie tackles? That includes Jedrick Wills, of course, with the Cleveland Browns, and Tristan Wirfs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And Andrew Thomas, with the Giants,
Yep.
on and on and on. But look, I think he's the best, but you have to be on the field to be the best. And he's just missed too much time. You mentioned earlier, EA, that he's played less than 55% of the snaps. That's not good enough. And, whatever happened the other night, difficult breathing, whatever that was, I don't have a definitive report. But, you've been in that building a long, long time. DeBrickshaw Ferguson never missed a snap in 10 years. That's the type of player I want Mekhi to be. He's got the talent to be dominant. to be a dominant player in this league. He's got the talent to be better than all the other rookie tackles in this league, and maybe to be the best tackle in all of football. He has all of that going for him, but you have to be on the field to do it. And so it's a concern. It'd be a concern to me, the fact that he's come out of these games now and he's, hasn't been able to finish games. That's a real concern at this point.
Baldy, we just want to wrap up with this. EA and I are going to talk about this later in the show, but we'll allow you to dive into it first. Is this Jets rookie class, they're seeing a lot of playing time. And Mekhi Becton, obviously the first-round pick of that draft class, but even Monday night, the Jets had 10 rookies on the field. And moving forward, Joe Douglas has a ton of capital. So what have you made of this young class, and how much of a changeover do you think that we'll see, like if we were talking a year from today, what this roster would look like?
Baldy,
Joe Douglas' thumbprint on it.
Yeah, but just to follow up on that question, Joe Douglas has 18 picks combined in 2021 and 2022, 9 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, well, I mean, just look at the Miami Dolphins and what Brian Flores is doing. I mean, that was their approach, and they're playing winning football. And now they've got the 5th pick in the draft, and they're playing quarterback. Look, Ashton Davis showed up the other night. Denzel Mims showed up. Michael P. Ryan showed up. I mean, you go through the roster of these rookies that got a chance. Harvey Lange got a chance to play and played well at middle linebacker. They've got a lot of building to do, but they've got resources to do it right now. They've gotten rid of a lot of contracts that I think they deemed as bad contracts. And so they're going to have a new nucleus. It's going to be a lot of young players. Whether Sam is here, not here, whether coaches are here, not here, it's going to be a new nucleus on this football team. And if I'm a Jet fan, I'm excited about what it can be. I think you have to be a young team. I think you have to develop players. You go around the league right now, look at teams that are taking that approach, and they're successful right now. And so, if you look at Buffalo, if you look at Kansas City, they built with a rookie quarterback, and all they did was build around those quarterbacks. And look where they are right now. Look at Baltimore. Look at these teams that are winning on top of it right now. They went with young, exciting rookie quarterbacks. They believed in them, and they didn't stop building around them. And that's the approach. And I think Joe will take that approach.
Awesome. Baldy, appreciate the time you coming on live from practice today. Usually we just get the breakdowns, which are great, but it's nice to see you in person virtually at least.
Thanks guys.
Thanks, Baldy.
Awesome. So that was an awesome segment with Brian Baldinger. Now it's time to look at the injury report presented by Atlantic Health. EA and I mentioned earlier, Mekhi Becton and Sam Darnold, the top guys on this graphic are the guys that did not play Monday night. Sam Darnold obviously headlines that group alongside Quinnen Williams, Blake Cashman, Vincent Smith, and Sam Ficken. And then, of course, the bottom 2 guys, the guys that left Monday's game. And we'll see what happens when the Jets return to practice next Wednesday as they start their preparation for the Los Angeles Chargers. But the big name there is Sam Darnold. And obviously that goes without saying. If he can play the final 7 games of the season, that will be a big boost for the New York Jets.
Yeah, it will be a big boost for Sam Darnold. But Joe Flacco, the wise veteran, told the media this week that you got to be patient with it. He's not in a position where, hey, you can hurry this up. When you're feeling right, you return to the lineup. Until that happens, you will continue to rehab, and hopefully we will see him, Sam Darnold, soon. But Joe Flacco is the perfect backup for this team right now in this situation because, this team is fighting through things. You're not winning ball games, and Flacco is a guy who's won a lot in the National Football League, a former Super Bowl MVP. He's got 10 postseason wins on his resume. He's seen the ups and the downs. So not only can he help this entire team right now during turbulent times, but he can help the aforementioned Sam Darnold. There's no doubt about that. And they were able to get the ball moving down the field against the Patriots. Now, we'll have to see what happens against the Chargers. The encouraging aspect of that game, too, is they held up in protection. And Flacco is a guy who isn't going to be moving around too much. He's a prototypical pocket passer, where Sam Darnold is the improviser. So when things break down around him, he can make plays, more plays outside the pocket. That's the biggest difference. The Patriots don't have an elite pass rusher. The LA Chargers, they do have an elite pass rusher.
And they got another pretty good one alongside Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. This is going to be a tough test when the Jets come back. And we said this earlier with Baldy, like how would you grade Sam Darnold's performance this season? He's completed 58.6% of his passes. He's thrown for 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, but he's also missed 3 games. So the question is, and I'm going to ask this to you, EA, is how do you grade Sam Darnold's performance? Because I tend to lean where Baldy said, in that it's incomplete right now.
You have to say it's incomplete. There's no doubt about it. I mean, those are the 3 receivers that you thought you were going to start the year out with in Mims, Perryman, and Crowder, and they never played together until week 9. Of course, the offensive line, it's been a little bit uneven. Like I said, I thought they played pretty well against the New England Patriots considering Becton went out of the lineup. And that's the thing with the Jets that they've dealt with constantly on the offensive side of the ball. When Becton has played, he's been one of the most impressive Jets. Unfortunately, he's dealt with the few injuries at that left tackle position. So, yeah, you would say Darnold's grade, incomplete. We're only 9 games through the season. He's only played 6 games. It's just a tough break that he's out of the lineup. And it's so ironic that the first time he's out of the lineup, of course, all 3 guys are going on the outside and at the slot position.
Yeah, it's been a battle to stay healthy to this point in the season for the Jets, and that stems all the way back to the beginning of training camp with, ironically, someone like Denzel Mims. But somebody that's coming back from injury, pretty gruesome injury, at least in college, that's rookie cornerback Bryce Hall, who made his debut on Monday Night Football against the New England Patriots. For more on him and his road to recovery, let's head to our sideline report with Olivia Landis. Liv, what can you tell us about the 5th-round rookie?
Prior to Monday night, the last time rookie cornerback Bryce Hall was able to step foot in a football game was October 11th of 2019 when he was a senior at Virginia. Just 6 games into a senior season, he unfortunately sustained a season-ending ankle injury that would keep him sidelined all the way up until November 9th of 2020, where we were able to see him make his NFL debut under the Monday night primetime lights versus the New England Patriots. In Monday's matchup, Hall tallied he tallied 2 solo tackles, contributing to the defense's efforts, and participated in 39 defensive snaps. I was actually able to speak to him following the contest, and he was very excited about being able to play in his first professional game. And I asked him what went into this road to recovery that went on behind the scenes that, maybe people didn't understand. He said the biggest thing about this entire recovery was the mental battle. He said it was very difficult to go to rehab multiple times a day, constantly talk to doctors, understand where he was at physically to get his body back healthy to get back on the field. He said bigger than all of that, though, was trusting himself again. He said it was a journey to be able to have to trust his ankle, that it was going to do the right things, and that he was physically prepared to be back on that field. I also asked him what it was like to be able to be sidelined for 8 weeks and watch this defensive group and see all of the mental things that he was able to take in. He said it was amazing. They are a great group of guys. He said it was really cool for him to be able to learn from some of the older veterans and take some notes from their playbook and put them into his own. So it's safe to say you will probably be seeing a lot of Bryce Hall in the coming weeks.
And that is exactly what Jets fans are hoping to see over the course of the next 7 games. Liv, thanks a lot. And Bryce Hall, EA, just one of 9 rookies in the draft class, and that's excluding undrafted free agents. We talked about Mekhi Becton earlier this show. I mentioned this earlier that the Jets had 10 rookies play against the New England Patriots. Right here, you're looking at the entire draft class. But this list right here, which includes guys that have played a prominent role on this team, like Mekhi Becton, Denzel Mims, Ashton Davis, LaMichael Pirine, and Braden Mann, and Jets fans are hoping to see more of Jabari Zuniga and Bryce Hall. Well, the guys that aren't on this list are the undrafted guys that we've seen, like Bryce Huff, like Lawrence Cager earlier in the year. Lamar Jackson started a game at cornerback for the Jets. And, of course, Javelin Guidry, the speedster out of Utah, is also on this team's active roster.
Yeah, Guidry's been used primarily on special teams. He's a guy who can fly. For him, the transition is getting off those blocks on special teams, but he definitely has speed to burn. We saw Mims here. The yards after the catch are very encouraging. Bryce Huff, drafted free agent out of Memphis, of course. LaMichael Pirine, the Jets like his explosive ability. We've seen him get free for 4 10-plus yard carries this year. Ashton Davis has started the last 2 games for the Jets defensively. Now, against Patrick Mahomes, baptism by fire, you're playing against the best quarterback in the National Football League right now, and he had some tough moments in that game. Against the Patriots, I thought he took a step forward. We saw him lining up often in the box and being used as a blitzer, and he's a physical presence, also really fast. I think you're going to continue to see him develop. He's a guy I really have my eyes on. The one thing you would like to see from him, even though that was a bad flag Monday night against the Patriots, because that was not a personal foul. I thought that was a clean hit on Cam Newton. But Newton had no idea Ashton Davis was in the neighborhood. Just take the football away next time.
Yeah, Ashton Davis, you saw a lot more of Ashton Davis blitzing against the New England Patriots. And sounded like the broadcast agreed with you that it was a clean hit. And, I mean,
it's a bang-bang play on the field. I get it with the referees and officials. They have tough
Right.
jobs. I'm just saying Ashton Davis didn't do anything wrong. But in the defensive meeting room, they're probably saying, Cam had no idea you were there. Rip that ball away.
Yeah, and the other play that I think sticks out is it was a low pass, and Ashton Davis darted to the football. You saw the closing speed. You saw the physicality that he brings on the field. But what you'd like to see moving forward from not just Ashton Davis, but this entire rookie class is that they do see more playing time. Liv mentioned Bryce Hall earlier. You saw him and Pierre Desir both taking snaps on the outside. Maybe that will continue after the bye, or maybe Bryce Hall will continue to take the majority of snaps. And same thing with LaMichael Pirine. You heard Joe Douglas talk earlier this season, probably a couple weeks ago at this point, how you'd like to see LaMichael Pirine's workload increase moving forward. So just to wrap things up here on Practice Today, presented by SiriusXM, is what do you want to see not only from the rookies over this stretch run, these final 7 games, but really the entire Jets team that you saw take a step in the right direction over the past 3 weeks, most notably on Monday night when they put together 3.5 good quarters of football?
It's hard to talk to the fans and say there is reason to be excited right now, but there is, because, yes, the Jets are 0-9. They are the only winless team in the National Football League, but they're playing a lot of young guys, and we're seeing encouraging steps from a lot of these players. Joe Douglas also has the infrastructure over the next 2 off seasons. He has flexibility, yes, financial flexibility, but he wants to develop guys in-house through the draft. You have 18 picks over the next 2 years, 9 in the first 3 rounds, 4 first-round picks in 2021 and 2022. So before we get ahead of ourselves, yes, that is in April. I'm saying look down the line. You got to look at the big picture. For the Jets, you have to evaluate guys on both sides of the ball and say, is he part of the solution moving forward? Offensively, you took steps against the Patriots. Nobody can deny that. The explosive passing plays. And that's what the Jets imagined they had in the offseason. They thought that was the offense they were going to put on the field. Defensively, you want to see these guys close, come up with some takeaways, and it all works together. Everybody points to the coverage all the time. Sometimes it's you got to get to the quarterback a little bit quicker. Let's see if they can come up with some more takeaways. And you want to see these guys experience collective success. You have not had a victory, but that is the next step. And right now, it's been the school of hard knocks for the young New York Jets. But if they keep on playing and giving efforts like they did Monday night, I think you're going to see them win a couple games.
There's no experience like game reps. That's what Adam Gase said. And such is the case for the rookies, but the Jets are on the right track as they enter the bye week. That's how we put a bow on Practice Today, presented by SiriusXM. We'll see you next Wednesday right here as the Jets kick off their preparations for the Los Angeles Chargers.